SEQTA can make student assessment feedback visible for every teacher. So if we think about going on a journey, we put in our destination. So we think about Google Maps here. Where am I going? How am I going? Are the stops along the way? And if we relate that to the teaching and learning process, that's all of the lessons. There might be formative assessments, checking student progress as you go. And then finally, when you get to the end of the unit, what are the next steps? So what are some of the key understandings or key concepts that need to either be revisited or extended in the next unit? And if we think about the whole teaching and learning workflow, imagine this was a Year 7 course and there were 7 units in maths across this 12-month period. The first one, number. Unit 2, measurement. Unit 3, algebra, and so on. Now, the teachers have the choice whether they write unit plans to decide exactly what are the key understandings, what are the assessments, what are the content descriptors they're covering. They're definitely writing lessons and delivering those lessons and giving assessments. And then the final part of this is that whole quality feedback. So within SEQTA, there is this feedback cycle. The first one is student expectations. In other words, where have they set their bar? How much effort are they going to put into this? Then there is the teacher feedback, answering, how am I going? And then finally, the $6 million question. Has the child picked up that piece of feedback and are they actually going to do anything with it? And those 3 core components are part of this feedback cycle. So if we break that down a little more, students can come in and they can predict what they expect to get. In other words, how much effort are they going to put into this assessment? Or have they written this course off, they're not wasting any time with it? There is also the rubrics. Rubrics show students what success looks like. In other words, it's the goalposts. So another really useful tool in the where am I going arsenal. And the rubrics in SEQTA are so simple. Grades, numbers, words. It can have fixed rows and fixed columns, or they can be flexible. But the rubrics can be saved to the library, so they can be adapted and reused as many times as teachers require. If we then look at how am I going, this is the feedback, and Professor Hattie and Shirley Clark's definition, I think, sums it up. Effective feedback can be defined as just in time, just for me information that can do the most good. In other words, it's closing the gap in learning from where the student is to where they're aiming to go. And then there is the ability to withhold the comments and the grades here. So traditionally, students are given a number and they have got feedback, or a letter and feedback. And what they tend to do is they look at the number and the grade. If they've done really well, they go, what's the point of reading the comment? I'm already really good. If they've done really poorly, they go, well, I'm useless. What's the point? I'm not going to read that feedback comment. So what happens is the number or the letter determine whether they're even going to read that feedback. And so what's in SEQTA to help the teachers here? Well, teachers now have the ability to only release the comment, withhold that mark. So what it means is that they can mark the work, ticks and crosses, put the number or grade on it, and then just release the feedback comment, and it keeps the number back. They then, in the next lesson, give the students back their work. They give them the rubric or marking key, but remember that there is no number or letter on it, and they get the students to mark their own work. For many students, it's the first time they've ever seen the work through the eyes of their teacher. And then they come back and say, this is the mark that I think I should have got. And there's a lot of research around this, and this is really the Black and Williams work that suggests that teacher feedback should avoid giving marks. So you've got the facility there to withhold the mark if you want to. And then finally, the reflection. What have they done well? What are their next learning steps? And that then is supporting them to become assessment capable, visible learners. So let's have a look in SEQTA. I'm clicking on my Year 9 Science class. Here is my student Leah. As I hover over, I can see instantly the teachers added in all this feedback along with the student adding in their expectation and reflection. I can click on the focus mode, and now I can see that there are 4 types of expectations have been added here, and I've turned on all 4. There can be your words, they can be star ratings, smiley faces, and they can predict their score. Totally up to the teacher how many of those they turn on. You can have the rubric, mark on the rubric there. The traditional written teacher feedback. Alternatively, if you don't want to write the feedback, audio, video, screen recording. And then the child's reflection drops right into the marks book in the correct assessment. So you've got it all wrapped in there, and the child's explaining what they're now going to do with the information. And here is that breadcrumb trail. The teacher can just release the comment and hold the mark back. And so making it really powerful and effective for the student. And what does that look like for the student? So I've come into Leah's SEQTA Learn site, hiding all the pending, and over 12 months, all of the assessments and the feedback sit here and are readily available from year to year, and they can go back in time and have a look. So now Leah can view her expectation, and she can be really pleased because she's done very well on this assessment. She's hoping to get 8 or 9. She's got 9 out of 10. Teachers marked the rubric, teachers given some feedback, and now Leah has written her reflection. Based on all that information, she's pleased, but she needs to understand more about polyatomic ions and how to calculate the number of moles of reactants and so on to balance chemical equations. So really simple and easy to use those feedback tools in SEQTA.